the world of professional wrestling from coast to coast. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew.
Good evening with the Nation's Corner. Come to my thing first. There you go. I'm your host, Tony Justice, and as you can see, I'm with my boy, John from South Jersey. We're in his neck of the woods, so you know what? We're here at Bourbon and Brews. It's a bar across from the street from the truck stop I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
It's his hometown, so you know what? We're repping.
Mm-hmm.
We're repping New Jersey. So what's going on, John?
Nothing, man. How are you?
Doing pretty good, brother.
Excuse me, Daddy Justice. Looking forward to a great show tonight with the crew as always, and getting to step on this side of the camera. Normally you catch me doing out all of my Nation's Corner on location stuff, but tonight somebody needed a hot tag, so here I am.
That's right.
Debhausen.
How you doing, Deb?
I'm doing great. I'm sorry that you had to be in Jersey, but I'm glad that you're in the general vicinity in the Northeast up here near me. So I know you guys had a fun day. I had a day in the air conditioning. So yeah, I've been keeping cool all day.
You know what? We could have used your air conditioning down there in Hamburg.
Absolutely.
Oh my God!
Well, I can't take it with me. It's here.
Place is hot. It was, but we'll talk about that a little bit. We want to welcome to the show for the first time under the Nation's Corner banner, the one, the only, R.A. Davis. Bang bang, bang bang. How's it going, brother?
Have mercy. What's up, y'all? How you doing?
Doing pretty
How
good,
you
man.
doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, man. We got plenty to talk about tonight. Glad you could be on with us, bro.
Yeah,
So,
glad to be here.
yeah.
Jeez, what the hell we got?
So what are we going to talk about first? I don't know. How about the fact that after, my lifetime of being a wrestling fan, we're now faced with a wrestling world without Vince McMahon in it. Vince McMahon announcing his retirement. Was it Friday?
Yes.
Yeah,
Late
yesterday.
Friday afternoon.
So that kind of shocked the wrestling world, even though we kind of figured something like this was coming down. Rather time comes after us all, and there is a ending for us all, and we don't think about that, but now it's here. So Vince McMahon retired from the WWE, and I would like to say, thank you for everything you've done for us, Vince, and for bringing us the things you have in wrestling. Without you, we probably wouldn't see a wrestling world today as it exists. So, Deb, I'll go with you first. What are your thoughts on the whole Vince McMahon news came down yesterday?
I have mixed feelings about it. I'm a newer fan compared to you guys. I've only been watching wrestling since I started watching in 2007, but really wasn't watching full time until I'd say maybe 2011 or 2010ish. And so I've gone back and learned a lot of the history and stuff, but I do, obviously I'm aware of the fact that Vince, is pretty much responsible for making wrestling like a global thing. Obviously New Japan and other things were around, but he really made it very global, especially, being able to connect the different companies throughout the world. And he made it a sensation. It was kind of like more or less a carny event before, and just kind of underground and not mainstream. And Vince is responsible for making wrestling mainstream. And, obviously for that, I'll always be thankful. However, I've never been much of a fan of his. The more I've learned about, the history of wrestling and a lot of the stuff that goes on, I've never really been a fan of his. A lot of various personal reasons as to why. But you know, it is obviously it's the end of an era. I'm not going to dispute that. I'm not going to, you know, scream and cheer and all that stuff because he's retiring. It's quite shocking. I am one of those people who also thought he would literally be sitting in the gorilla position until the day he keeled over from a heart attack. You know, that's the way I pictured it going down. So it's weird. It's weird to think about, but I'm excited for what this new era will bring to WWE. I've been saying for many, many years since I started watching wrestling that I think WWE will be improved once Steph and Triple H take over. I think many fans just kind of assumed that that was the way it was going to go, that once Vince was no longer there, Steph and Triple H would take over. And, you know, kind of that's what's happening with, you know, the addition of Nick Khan and everything. So,
yeah,
you know, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what changes are made, you know, if there will be any changes to the way creative is done, the process of everything. I'm interested to see what happens. RA, what do you think on the topic?
Like you, I was surprised that, you know, he didn't go out, you know, on the gurney, as it were.
Right.
Figured that's how we'd find, like how we found out how most of the big stars have gone. They went out, you know, we wake up, we go to bed, they're there. We wake up the next morning, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah,
happened with Warrior, happened with Animal, happened with Dusty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's unfortunate how that happens. But yeah, man, it's a definite shock, to say the least. Don?
I personally am, and to a certain extent, not shocked, honestly. We have all kind of surmised, guessed that there were worse things coming down the road, because even the steps they've taken so far for Vince, as far as dealing with Vince, this tells me more than anything else that there was more that we haven't known yet. And basically, I think it just came down to, they said to Vince, look, Vince, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. The easy way, you step out, you retire, your daughter and son-in-law resume control, everything's fine. We quietly make this all go away. Or we can do it the hard way. We take you, your company, your 50 some odd years of the legacy of it, and drag it all completely through the mud, cost you a bunch of money, your entire reputation and career, and we'll get you out that way. So
yeah,
and some people in the chat have already mentioned it, and I've seen Vince always does what's best for business, and I think, given all things considered, this was the best for business. And yes, it's a shock in the fact that, you know, we're now moving forward in a world without Vince McMahon, that without him, we wouldn't be even doing this.
No,
to be honest,
right.
Wrestling would still be very regional, very, very territorial. You would have had a Monday Night War. You never would have had a Golden Age. You would never had a Ruthless Aggression all the way up till present. You never would have had an NXT, no matter what iteration. So, like I said, I'm not completely shocked, just because when it comes down to it, sure, we have passion, we have history, we have, you know, memories of wrestling, and Vince McMahon dominates them. But this is also a business of a publicly traded company with shareholders and stockholders. And again, what's best for business? And moving forward, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen moving forward. It's no secret, a lot of people in the business, and even now out of the business, have always said that there were certain barriers and things that Vince would put up to keep some people down while others thrive. So now seemingly all that's gone, and you know, it's going to be a wait and see. I don't think the changes will be immediate, meaning anything going into, we're a week away from SummerSlam. I don't think that any changes won't be visible during this week, but after SummerSlam, it's kind of an open slate.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird that with SummerSlam coming just next week, and then the day after SummerSlam, I think they're in the Garden, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they're in the Garden
this Monday.
Yeah.
Okay, this Monday then.
Yeah, because it's Rey Mysterio's 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Garden tomorrow or
Mhm.
Monday they're at the Garden. So don't understand why it's this quick unless there's something else coming down the pike that's damning.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a wait and see on that. Regardless of anything coming down the pike, whatever else is going to be uncovered or whatever, it does not change the fact that Vince McMahon entertained us for years and brought us WrestleMania, brought us, I mean, just a global product.
Right.
WWE would not even be global right now if it wasn't for Vince McMahon. So
Yeah.
regardless of what he's done, hasn't done, God, devil, whatever, he has entertained us for years, and for that, you know, I'm thankful.
Yeah.
Now, we and John were talking today about on the Hamburg. We were listening to Busted Open, and on the commercial breaks we were talking. We were giving our own little thoughts, and we were like, yeah, we're gonna bring that up on the show tonight. We're gonna bring that up on the show tonight. Write that down. So everything's been kind of like a chess move ever since this started. The reports first started coming out. It seems like the chess moves started happening. Vince stepped back, okay, then Stephanie stepped forward, became the CEO. Then you had Triple H announced as the new resuming his duties as EVP, and now the same day they announced Triple H resuming his duties, Vince announces his retirement. So it's like
just a few hours later.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, since the beginning of the situation, since we all found out, it's been a wait and see the whole time. Like, it's always been we have to wait and see what happens.
I've been waiting for
and I think that, these things happen kind of gradually because, obviously we don't know the details of the investigation or anything, but it seems likely that, as the investigation progressed and as they, found out more and WWE knew more of what was going on, the business and the company needed to, and the McMahons needed to, take those steps. Obviously he wasn't going to just resign from the very start. That's that. Like, it had to have been a process. So, yeah, I mean, kind of piggybacking on what you said before about, WWE being global, back in the territory days, a lot of old school fans, like LaGreca constantly talks about how, he fell in love with wrestling in the territory days. And, he always jokes about that. If he ever got a chance to interview Vince again, that's what he would ask him is, why did he buy Georgia Championship Wrestling and ruin his childhood?
Right.
So
why did he kill the territory?
Right. And yeah, obviously there's some criticisms to be said about that, about, kind of going in there and buying up territory after territory. But that's just the way business is. I mean, that's the way any corporate business is they buy their competition. They will buy out smaller guys and kill off the smaller guys. That's just corporate business. History kind of shows that was a good move, as much as it sucked at the time that a lot of people were out of jobs and, people's livelihoods were taken away. Business wise, it was a good choice, and it was a good choice for the wrestling industry as a whole.
Yeah. Well, all right, something I want to hit you with, and it's another topic me and John were talking about on the road earlier. Talking about Triple H stepping back into the fold and resuming his duties. And Elder Mongrovian Mike had a good question that I want to get to also. But it kind of goes along the same lines with what I'm about to say. AEW just had a pay-per-view called Forbidden Door.
Mm-hmm.
Now that Vince McMahon has stepped aside and retired, and now that Triple H and Stephanie are, you know, you can say Stephanie's the CEO, but I'm sure Triple H is going to have play in what happens and whatever.
No, he's still an EVP. I mean,
Yeah.
So now the possibilities of seeing what the Forbidden Door would actually look like with WWE involved.
Right.
Since Triple H was more of a territory kind of guy, he was a fan of the territories. You can tell by the black and gold NXT, and that's the question that Mongrovian Mike had in the chat. But all right, what do you think about the possibilities of having a Forbidden Door type scenario happen with the WWE?
well, in my view, the whole Forbidden Door thing, that's fan created. It was supported by the WWE, but it was fan created. There never was a Forbidden Door. Talent trades back and forth all the time.
Mhm.
Most of the time, we don't see it because they're put
Well, not in
into
WWE.
Yeah, they still go through the Performance Center because you still had some of the Japanese talent coming up in the Performance Center that never made it to TV. They went back.
Yeah, that's
They were
different
decided-
though. When they're with WWE, they can't work anywhere else. They go back when they're no longer with WWE.
Right, but I mean, we've seen recent, for example, with Mickie James during the Rumble. She came in, and she is not a WWE talent. She's an Impact.
Yeah.
She was signed at Impact at the time. In fact, she was the Knockouts champion at the time, and she was allowed to come in as the Knockouts
Yeah.
champion.
That was a
And that was
taste
awesome.
of what the Forbidden Door, or whatever you want to call it.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, Forbidden Door. It's the
that's just the term that's used. I understand
term
why it's
used
Yeah.
when like dream match kind of thing. You know, you don't think
Yeah.
that someone from the WWE, especially the WWE, because they've always been so high and mighty. Let's just go ahead and say it. They've always seen themselves as the top of the food chain. They've been the top of the food chain. There's just
Yeah, they have been.
There's no qualms about it. They have
Since
been.
what, 2001?
And so,
Yeah.
but they kind of have the attitude of, you know, we're better than everybody else, so we don't have to do your show. We don't have to come on
Yeah.
your show and do anything. Now, that was probably Vince McMahon's mentality. He didn't have to do this because he is on the top. He don't have to do anything else. But now,
Mhm.
Triple H is a big fan of the territory system. So I see something like that coming down the
Oh,
line.
yeah, the landscape's
interesting to see.
definitely going to change.
Yeah.
The
Landscape will
landscape of
definitely open
professional
up.
wrestling is going to change,
Um,
and because we know Triple H has relations with, Japanese talent. He has relations with talent in
Everybody.
other places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we know he is open to talks with other companies.
Right.
Yeah. And I think
Now-
it's just whether or not the company as a whole wants to go that direction.
Right.
You know, he could advocate for that all he wants, but if the other people, Nick Khan or Bruce Pritchard, if they don't want to do that, then they might not be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still a business. And
Mhm.
it's still a publicly
Yeah.
traded business. So it's not just, oh, we want to swap talent. No, it's a little bit more than that. But it's definitely interesting to think about. We've been, ever since the Forbidden Door term came along, we've sat plenty of times talking about dream matches and if only.
Mhm.
And how about just the simple fact that we're even talking about that now, or
Yeah.
that's even a talking point? I think that's fantastic. That
Mhm.
all these pie in the sky dreams may possibly happen. And Tony touched on it briefly. I want to Mongrovian's question. I don't think NXT 2.0 is going to go changing now. Only because it's really Triple H, as much as you want to say it's the same role, I think Triple H has bigger responsibilities now, meaning the main
Yeah.
roster.
With NXT 2.0 not changing, do you see Raw becoming more like the black and gold NXT?
Now that is something I would love to see.
Most
I hope
definitely.
I hope there's at least little tweaks like that to make it less of a, what we see as a variety show.
Right.
Because
Now
now,
that is
it's
a
all
more-
just I mean,
Like,
there's
get rid of
matches
that male
are-
model crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking
You know,
of,
like Max Dupree.
Max Dupree is
no.
not there now. It's Maxine Dupree.
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
Max Dupree is not on there
had
anymore.
backstage heat, so he was taken off of the show and replaced with his sister Maxine.
The sister.
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
why I don't watch Raw.
The
Okay.
young, attractive black woman. It's Max Dupree's sister.
no, she was the white
Okay.
woman.
Oh, is she?
Oh God. Okay.
Anyway,
But
Anyway.
so anyway, I'm curious to see what Monday Night Raw is going to look like on Monday. It'll, I understand SmackDown happened. I heard that you heard all kinds of stuff about SmackDown. Not even going to go into what they talked about, and what happened, whatever.
It's all right.
It's
Yeah. One other quick thing I wanted to bring up again in the ride in the truck to and from Hamburg, Tony and I. We should have just taped all that and then we could just say it right here. But not to be lost on the fact that Stephanie McMahon was out in front of that crowd last night for the opening of SmackDown is a pretty big statement from WWE on a couple levels. One, it's definitely establishes Stephanie as the new face or the new head of the company or the face of the company. Secondly, again, this is a publicly traded stockholder owned company. The one thing that makes any stockholder of any company nervous is big changes, and Vince McMahon retiring certainly is a big change. So the other reason I feel Stephanie was out there is to let everybody know, including all the stockholders, everything is fine. Business as usual. Yes, my father has stepped aside and stepped down or anything, but nothing as far as the business itself has changed. We are still full speed ahead into SummerSlam. Still, right. Nothing really has changed. There's nothing to worry about. So I didn't want to move on from this and not bring up that topic because I feel it was pretty important that, Stephanie McMahon, sure, everybody said thank you, Vince, and rightfully so. But there was a bit of a more message to me with her being out there last night that I just wanted to touch on real quick.
I agree. That was her saying the company's in good hands.
Yeah, I agree.
It was letting you know that the McMahons are still in control of the company, so that people.
Yeah. And I really do feel like the WWE is in good hands with Stephanie and Triple H.
Absolutely.
Could be.
Absolutely.
We talked about it for months and years. What would it be like? Well, now we're fixing to find out. So, like I said before before we started on, thank you, Vince, for everything you've done for the wrestling world, and good luck in your retirement.
Enjoy your retirement.
So now I want to.
Good luck in your future endeavors.
Good luck in your future endeavors, man.
And promise no trash bag with your name on it.
Yes, we did.
All right.
We said that.
Yeah,
Trash bag with Vince McMahon on it.
Trash bag with BKM on it. Yeah.
Oh no. Oh man.
Anyway, let's talk some AEW.
So on that note, we also wanted to talk about AEW. AEW on Wednesday night on Dynamite, we saw a heck of a show. Closed out with a barbed wire everywhere match
and a shark cage,
and it was everywhere. It was even on the mic. I don't have barbed wire on my mic, thank God. No. Okay, so
or Justin Roberts.
Yeah,
the conditions he has to work under.
Right.
It was on the shark on the stage.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the barbed wire. And actually, I felt some gimmick to barbed wire at the Hamburg show earlier.
Yes,
the meet and greet.
the guy
there was a gimmick barbed wire on the table. But anyway, should have had you gig me. Yeah. But anyway, the use of blood in AEW has become very, very commonplace.
Too common.
I mean, it's almost like in every match now. It seems. Used to, they said red equals green. But now, I mean, yeah, I can see blood in the right when the story is told the right way, when it's necessary to have blood. But now it just seems like it's blood for the sake of blood now.
Yeah.
If you want blood,
you got it.
You got it.
Mox bleeds in every match he's in.
Oh yeah. That's a running joke on Sledge's Twitch stream, is that he always talks that Mox has to juice himself every match. Like he like gets off on that. I will say though that the only reason it bothers me in some way is because there's been multiple occasions recently where you can tell that they're just gigging themselves. It's not, it doesn't look real. It doesn't look natural. Like I could see if there was like a really bad table spot that like the table broke in pieces and the edge of the wood scratched their head. Like then I can see it, but when nothing's going on and they just roll out to the side of the ring and all of a sudden they come back up and their face is covered in blood, you're like, come on.
I mean, even Wednesday night, but gimmick and everything aside, you're in a ring wrap. If we're going to suspend disbelief, you're in a ring surrounded by barbed wire. Chances are someone's going to get cut and bleed.
Yeah.
So
that's a given.
That makes absolute sense. But you're right. But just bleeding for the sake of bleeding, blood does not equal intensity. You're not heightening the match by somebody bleeding.
There's got to be the thing that causes that blood. And when there's really nothing, like no good explanation to cause that blood, you're like, as Bully would say, it's gratuitous.
Right.
Well, and the same count with as much barbed wire as they had there, I feel there actually should have been more blood.
I tend to agree with that, RA. And you're right. And something
that
like
almost shows you that some of it is gimmicked.
Yeah. Right. And as Mongrovian just said, it's bad camera angles. Mm-hmm. We've seen the videos of how chaotic it can be in that production room,
right? With
the screens of all the different camera angles and how fast they have to click from one to the other. But they should know that that spot is coming up or whatever, and that production person should know what angle he needs to show that from to not so we don't see them. So we don't either see them blading or it's obvious that they were blading.
Right. Like in the first barbed wire death match where you had, you see Jericho blatantly cutting himself.
Right. Yeah. Something I want to point out, when Eddie Kingston came down to the ring at the very beginning of the match, he got in the ring, he took the mic from Justin Roberts and went directly to Chris Jericho and started. I mean,
and
on
you
his
could
head,
hear
was busted open, giggity. Yeah. He was busted open like within the first minute or two of the match.
Yeah.
Blood doesn't take.
And they showed a bad camera angle on that when Eddie first started punching Jericho in the head. Like it was obvious that he wasn't, really making contact that much. It's like show a different camera angle, make it look a little better. Like that's what they're there for.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But as most common comes up, the company is still in its infancy. I think that's something to remember is that these slip ups and these mistakes are going to happen. Like the company's only 3 years old. WWE did not look, or WWF did not look this professional when they were 3 years old. Like, there is an aspect that we as fans expect a lot.
Sure.
It's a professional TV product on mainstream national TV, so we expect a lot. We expect the professionalism.
Right. So, talking about production issues, I want to go to another issue during that same match. When Ty Conti come down to the ring, I mean the whole Jericho Appreciation Society was supposed to be in the shark cage, and where was Sammy? Where was Ty? But see, Ty comes running down, attacks Ruby Soho. Then Sammy gets involved in the match, and then Ty gets the key from Ruby and goes to the shark cage to try to unlock it. And speaking of keys, the key to having a good show, like I hope you think our show is a good show, is likes and subscriptions. So if you don't mind, go to the thumbs up on the show and click thumbs up on our show. Give us a like. Come on now. I know you want to. And then go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. It's really easy. Please.
Too smooth as
Begging you.
butter on that.
Believe
anyway,
it or not,
back
it
to
does help
Wow.
with the analytics.
That
the
was
key.
like a Dave LaGreca
Yeah.
caliber ad read.
Well,
like
Tony.
butter, like
Seeing-
AG1 #1.
Seeing Dave earlier, he kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. I mean, he
Okay, I like it. Let's go.
Yeah, with his Swiss tickler mustache. Shout out to Dave LaGreca.
More like dead caterpillar on his foot.
We're gonna have to update our LaGreca head. We're gonna have to take a silver Sharpie and just
Get a Martel mustache and put it on the LaGreca head. Yeah.
Well, you could probably actually, get a fake one with the store that looks pretty much close to it.
Yeah.
Elias's fake beard and mustache look better.
Oh my god.
But
Yeah.
back to production issues. It took Ty Conti entirely too long. She gave the key to one of the boys in the cage to have him, and then the camera
crawled out. They
the
crawled out
camera
of the
went
cage.
off of them. So who knows who unlocked the lock?
Yeah, but by then
Yeah.
there was only 2 of them were out already because they slid through the
They
bars.
slid through the bars. They came back.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have come back to that. They came back and it showed them going through the bars.
Yep.
And that
The
that
camera
was
should have panned away like
They
Pan back to the action in the ring.
They
or whatever.
shouldn't have been on Tay for that long while she was
They
having trouble. And I
stayed on
understand it's
time.
gonna happen. Like, you might be nervous, you're in that situation, you might fumble with the key, you might not be able to work the lock.
Right.
Maybe they didn't practice it beforehand, who knows? But yeah, the camera should have panned away. Like, it shouldn't have stayed on her that long as she's struggling with the
Right.
lock.
I mean, obviously the shot was Tay walks over, big smile, saunters over, unlocks the key, unlocks the lock, the door opens, everybody piles out. Again, we're talking about live television. Anything can and does happen.
Yeah, shit happens.
But still,
Yeah.
That's strictly on production and their camera work for that, because somebody should have said, "Oh shit," and cut back to the ring, cut back to Chris and Eddie, put a close up on one of them two till they got that shark cage thing figured out. Then you can pan out and see everybody barreling into the ring at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that whole thing was a huge letdown. I was super excited for that match. The gimmick matches, like, they might do too many gimmick matches here and there, like the crazy wild stuff, but I get it. Gimmick matches have always been a part of wrestling history. I get that. It's fun. But yeah, I think there were too many things that maybe didn't go as planned, and I didn't need the run-in with Tay at all. Once Tay came out, and I'm a huge fan of Tay and Sammy. Watch their vlog every week. But once Tay came out, it's like the whole thing was ruined.
Yeah. Ari, what were your thoughts on it?
Like I said, they spent entirely too much time on Ty fumbling with the lock. And the bringing Anna Jay down and turning yet another female talent heel and taking her away from the Dark Order, which they could have kept her in the Dark Order.
Right. What the fuck?
The Dark Order
And
just seems
then-
to be
Dark
dwindling
Order
down.
forever.
They nullified the
Can you
shark
get-
cage.
Yeah.
And after they nullified the shark cage, they nullified letting the people out of the shark cage. I mean, it's
so
like
many
they
things
just
didn't make sense.
canceled out everything they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is very shocking because, like, I don't know if you guys listen to Talk is Jericho a lot. I listen to it, like, pretty much all the time. But, we know that Jericho is a genius when it comes to wrestling creative and wrestling psychology. We know he's good. And from listening to his podcast, he has creative control. Like, he thinks of all the stuff, of all the storylines he's involved with. So it's surprising to me that it didn't work.
Well, here's one thing that they brought up also on Busted Open, and I thought as well. They didn't have enough time. They absolutely had nowhere near enough time to do that match properly. Everything was rushed. And you wound up with exactly what you wound up, especially in the last part of that match. A very chaotic set of sequences.
Well, they didn't even need to do the shark cage, the tie coming down, the other team coming out to help to stop them.
Right.
They could have went straight to the Jericho going into the box,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
it would have made more sense than throwing all that extra in there.
And
Right.
did anyone else notice they had the huge run-ins? Here comes all of the Jericho Appreciation Society with Sammy eventually out of the cage. Here comes Blackpool Combat Club, and Ortiz and Santana, and they're all fighting. Did anybody notice for like maybe the last 3-4 minutes of that match, they were nowhere to be found at ringside?
They weren't.
It was basically just back to Eddie and Chris. So what did we do there?
What was
did
the
we
point?
solve there?
That's what I mean.
That-
They
you know,
nullified.
It like I said, I honestly think that they said, okay, well, we're short this amount of time. And yes, you can change different segments and shorten things up to get more time, but I still don't even think, even if they had gone over, even 5 minutes over, gone to 10:05, they still weren't going to be able to really sell and finish out that match the way they should have. And
Mhm.
I think that's a big problem with AEW in general. They still don't have a real good grasp on how to time and pace out television. And until they do that, this is, as much as we're excited to see some of these things, after a while, it's just like, now, so what? You bleed every match. Okay. Yeah, great. Ooh. Oh, his face is all red. That's the reaction. Sooner or later, if they don't get a handle on this timing and pacing of shows, we're gonna be like, oh, well, great. Here comes 2 hours of stuffing 15 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Yeah.
And okay, it's entertaining, but it doesn't do anything to continue or build anything. It's good. It's our good friend Front Row loves to use the fast food analogy. It's great at the moment, but an hour later you're like, oh, I just ate nothing, and
Right.
and that went. So
I'm hungry again.
I don't think it's a talent per se, a talent issue. I think that they can't be good if they're not given anything good to work with.
Right. Speaking of rushed, that match after the pin, Eddie Kingston, it's like they got Chris Jericho up and went and did that barbed wire spot outside the ring. Had to get that on real quick.
The whole
because they knew
beat
they were
down of
going off
Eddie
the
didn't
air.
even matter at that point.
Yeah, it was pointless.
Yeah, it was. It didn't mean anything.
And speaking of also stuff that happened during that match, Chris Jericho endured a broken nose in that match. And it was on that spot where he had the chair wrapped in barbed wire, and he did the code breaker. And then when he did the code breaker, well, Eddie was coming forward with a chair, and it landed right on his tip of his nose and broke his nose. And Jericho posted a tweet after the match. I mean, it was. He looked like W.C. Fields.
Andrew's nose was all red and swollen.
W.C. Jericho. We can't say that they don't. I mean, we're not taking anything away from the fact that they put their bodies on the line out there in that ring. In no way are we
too much.
Yeah, in no way are we disrespecting that fact, because they do the best they can do to perform for us every week. But sometimes all the blood and stuff it's just too much, We respect what you do, but it's just getting to be. I mean, just make it make sense,
Right. Right. Exactly.
So, on that note, Flair's last match, happening next weekend in Nashville, Tennessee, on the weekend of Starrcast. We've got the roast of Ric Flair on the next Friday, and then Sunday we have the actual pay-per-view, Ric Flair's last match. So, Deb, if you wouldn't mind, would you go over the card for that night?
Yes. So, hold on. Sorry, I'm wholly unprepared.
I kind of sprung it on you a little bit.
One, we got Josh Alexander versus Jacob Fatu.
And the
Okay,
one
I got it now.
Okay.
Yes, Josh Alexander versus Jacob Fatu for the Impact World Championship. We have under AAA, Ray Fenix and Taurus versus Laredo Kid and Bandito. We have the Von Erichs, Marshall and Ross against the Briscoes. Killer Cross
everybody
against Harry Smith under MLW. Then for Impact Dream Tag rematch, the Wolves against Motor City Machine Guns.
reuniting of Davey Richards and
Eddie Edwards.
Eddie Edwards, yes. Then Impact and we have Rachel Ellering and Deanna Purrazzo, and Jordan Grace.
Yeah.
And Jordan
Right.
Grace. And I'm really
knockout
excited
is
about
kind of
this match. Carrie and Ricky Morton against Brian Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson.
Wow.
With Arn Anderson in his son's corner.
Yeah, and Robert Gibson.
Yes.
in the other
Robert
corner for-
Gibson.
Yes.
Ricky and Ricky Jr.
Yes.
Yeah.
And have we, I know I saw earlier today, Clark Connors is injured. Have they announced a replacement for him yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
I didn't even hear
Okay.
that news.
Yeah, Clark Connors posted earlier today that he's injured. Apparently he's been dealing with some herniated disc issues for quite some time, and it seems to have flared up again. So he's not going to be able to participate in the match against Ren Narita. So I'm not sure who the replacement's going to be. We have the Bunkhouse Battle Royal with Bully,
Crowbar, James
Crowbar,
Storm,
and James Storm. And I'm sure more people to be announced. And then obviously the main event with Ric Flair and Andrade versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal.
Did you talk about the four person, the Laredo Kid?
Yes, I did. That was the first one I said.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the AAA one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, great card.
Yeah.
This pay-per-view is definitely shaping up to be a must-see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to admit it. A week ago, I wasn't that interested in it at all.
Yeah.
But credit to Conrad and them for putting together a pretty stellar card and bringing in, because let's face it, it's really just a glorified house show per se, but there's some real heavy duty names and from big organizations that participate in this. And like I said, hats off to Conrad for getting the business done and making these matches happen. So like I said, now I'm very interested to watch it, just because, do I really need to see a 77-year-old Ric Flair in a wrestling ring? No, but it's still going to be entertaining. And now they but that alone wasn't enough to get me to buy the pay-per-view.
Right.
So now with the rest of these matches they've announced, now it could be worthwhile.
Yeah.
At least from
when
watching the full card.
When it was first announced, Blake Christian is replacing Clark Connors. That's awesome.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
That's for Neil in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neil.
Neil. There you go.
Yeah, when it was first announced that Ric Flair is gonna do a last match deal, I was like, I don't need to see Ric Flair in another match. Like, we've seen multiple Ric Flair last matches before, and each one of them had some sort of like emotion attached to them. We all think of Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, at first I was like, I don't need to watch that. I don't need to watch that. But as they've really, started booking the matches and announcing it, I was like, oh dang, that's gonna be good. I gotta see that. And I'm really, really glad that this is gonna be a tag team match for Ric Flair. For a while there was a lot of speculation about who would be Ric Flair's opponents. I know we discussed, Tony, you came up that you thought it was Sting. And I really thought you were right.
That would have been a good one because he's been his
Yeah,
last
I
match
really
for
thought you were right with
several
that.
companies.
But I'm
Yeah.
really glad that they decided to do a tag team match. I think that's going to allow for Ric Flair to, not really have to do much. He'll hit his big spots, his,
Right. He'll play
the
the hits,
cliche
but
Ric Flair crap.
he's not looking to go. He's not going to be asked to go on his own for
Yeah,
10 to
yeah.
15. So
Yeah, he
it
can
makes,
tag in and do, do his
He
thing.
can do the face first flop thing, the
Right.
figure four.
Right.
Yeah.
he can play the hits and not have to worry about really running and carrying a whole match.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm not mad at that it's a tag team. I think that's a
No,
good
it's
idea.
I think it's
The-
great. I think it was a good
opponents don't
decision.
make a whole lot of sense, but
Yeah, and
No,
so I
that
want
was-
to ask you guys what you think of Jeff Jarrett, because Andrade and Jay Lethal make perfect sense to be in his last match with him. What do you think of Jeff Jarrett? We heard Conrad on Busted Open talk about how Jeff Jarrett like weasels himself into things. You think that's what it was, that Jeff Jarrett just somehow weaseled himself into Ric Flair's last match?
sure.
Well, he has weaseled himself back onto the WWE board, so
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's your special guest referee at SummerSlam. But yeah, it's no secret Jeff Jarrett throughout his entire wrestling career has been very, very good at backstage politics and politicking for himself and everything else. And I honestly think that's exactly what this is here of Jeff, politics himself into a big payday and then the main event.
I would love to know what he said,
and
like how he convinced them.
Right. I'm sure any of you guys, if you know, and anybody in the chat will point out, I don't ever remember any kind of, nothing meaningful of a feud or anything like that in a wrestling ring anyway between Jeff Jarrett and Ric Flair. I mean, I'm not saying there may be some old backstage beef or something, but there's nothing I'm aware of that would warrant that, however many 10, 15 years later, they're having this match now. And I've seen the little vignettes and stuff that they put out. And, again, do I need to see a 70-something-year-old Ric Flair bloody in a parking lot? No, but we're trying to sell a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So I guess that, I guess they're trying to build the heat because I don't really think any was there. So Jeff, to me, is still kind of confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll make the effort to make the story right, but initially I can think of 5 or 6 other people that would have made better sense.
Yeah.
Right.
In my opinion, the only thing, sorry about RA. The only thing that makes sense about this whole thing is location, because Jeff Jarrett lives in Nashville, so it's easier for him to get to the arena, easier on travel and all that stuff. So, I mean, if Conrad can save a buck, I'm sure that was a positive note on that end. So
Jeff probably asked for that in his pay envelope.
Yeah. All right, what do you think?
they could have definitely gone with better opponent. I mean, Jarrett. Not many people want to see Jeff Jarrett. I mean, even though he is a legend and all, nobody really cared when he was in GCW. Why would we? Nobody cared when he came back to the NWA. Why would it matter now?
Yeah.
Walk out with me, Deborah.
Shout out to Chris.
Shout out to Chris. We see Deborah today.
Yes, we did. Oh,
Yeah.
And I'm almost sorry I did. That's another matter.
Did you
So,
tell her that
anyway,
Chris said hi?
Yeah. No, we wanted to, but we decided to keep on walking.
Yeah.
On that note, we're going to talk about Ring of Honor for a few minutes. We want to get y'all off the air. We're coming up on the top of the hour. Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor is going to be starting at the top of the hour. So we want to just let's just go ahead and give our predictions on what we think, what's going to be the match that we're looking forward to tonight. All right, we'll start with you.
Well, obviously, FTR Briscoes is going to be a burner. And I'm definitely interested in the Gresham Claudio match.
Yes.
Yeah. John, what about you?
I am glad to see now, for those that didn't catch it, all of the Ring of Honor titles at the 6-man Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships with the reigning, as of their last shutdown and now rebirth,
The Righteous.
Six-Man Tag Team Champions, the Righteous, going against Dalton Castle, former Ring of Honor heavyweight champion and television champion, and the boys.
Yeah.
So that's cool to see.
Dalton and the Boys just sounds like a country act. Let me put that out there.
It's anything but.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's anything but my most yeah, no, none of that.
Hey,
Of course,
let me Rick you
if the shirt hasn't given away what match I'm looking forward to the most, but honestly, the one I am very much or most interested in seeing is Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia for the pure title.
Yeah.
We have gotten to know and see and watch Wheeler Yuta grow up on AEW. I've watched him for quite a while in the indies around here since he's from this area. He's from Philadelphia. Daniel Garcia, I don't think has ever done anything under pure rules. And yes, it's a wrestling match as a wrestling match goes, but there's a lot of different nuances and details to a pure rules match that I don't think Daniel Garcia is used to or has competed in.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody like Wheeler Yuta, who is going to educate him very quickly and very painfully.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to see how that match plays out.
Right.
And my dark horse of match of the night, everybody knows I love my women's wrestling, and Mercedes Martinez and Serena Deeb for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship is my dark horse match of the night, because those two ladies are absolutely at the top of the game.
They are.
And I don't expect anything less than just an absolute banger of a hard, physical, technical at times match. It's classic Styles. Styles make fights.
Yeah.
The brawler and just beat the living snot out of you and Mercedes Martinez against the highly skilled and technical Serena Deeb. So that's my dark horse.
Yeah. Deb, speaking of Deb, what does your shirt say over there?
It's Wesley Crusher, not the Wesley Crushers, the Wesley Crushers in 3D.
Okay. Well, cool. That's a cool shirt.
That enhanced
Wesley
advertising
Crushers.
brought to you by Debhausen.
All right. Cool. All right.
Is that the bowling ball bag? Or never mind.
Deb, what are you looking forward to tonight on the Ring of Honor pay-per-view?
I gotta say, I'm really, really looking forward to FTR and the Briscoes.
Yeah.
These are the two best tag teams in the world. I can't decide who I like more. I'm kind of leaning towards the Briscoes on this one, but I just love FTR. And since they've left WWE, they've really proven that they are one of the best tag teams in the world, for sure.
I agree.
If not the best.
I agree. That is what I'm looking forward to the most as well, FTR versus the Briscoes. I missed the other match they had in Dallas because we were just busy that whole weekend.
Oh my God, that weekend was crazy.
Trenda went to that show. I think Trenda went to that show. Trenda's in the chat. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I don't know. She didn't end up going.
That's right. No, she didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
They were going to go.
Right.
They were going to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
the timing, it ended up being a scheduling.
Oh my God, that weekend was
right.
so chaotic. We didn't get to do a lot of the stuff we wanted to do.
We didn't get to go to Mission Pro that day. We were planning on going to the La Greca
couldn't leave
party,
the parking lot.
The Busted Open party. We went to the roast of La Greca, and we couldn't get out of the parking lot because it was just there was a baseball game going on next door, and it was just it was
bad.
But we saw the Briscoes that night at the hotel bar after the match with FTR.
Oh yes, that's right.
It was pretty cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that match. And I'm also looking forward to see who's going to be the new Ring of Honor World Champion. I honestly think Claudio's going to take it. I really do. I think that with Ring of Honor, I think after this pay-per-view, I think they're gonna come at us with something like some sort of programming or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think with that, I think they're gonna start it off fresh with a new champion. So I think
actually, yes, you just changed my my biggest thing I'm looking forward to tonight. Biggest thing I'm looking forward to tonight: Ring of Honor back on television of some kind.
Yay!
All
Yeah,
right.
I think I may have mentioned it on Zoom last night. I really think, Claudio is the bigger name as far as, mainstream recognition because he was in WWE for so long. So I think with the reintroduction of the new Ring of Honor, I think he's the perfect person to be their champion.
Yeah.
Going into the new era. He is so well known, he is so well liked, and I think that would be perfect.
Yeah. Well, with that, we're gonna go ahead and get y'all out of here so y'all can pop your popcorn, get your wings ready, get your beers ready, and get
Hey, we
set
I got
down
chili in the crock pot.
and watch some Ring of Honor
All right, we'll be
tonight.
up in about an hour and a half. Deb. Keep it hot.
Okay. All right, come on over.
But okay, so we're gonna just wrap it up here. All right, how can people find you on the Twitter?
Well, you can hit me right there at Dead Ahead RA. Pretty much on all socials.
All right. Deb, how about you?
At That's So Debonair on the Twitter machine and Truth Resist Simplicity on Instagram. Shout out to Sledge, who unfortunately is sick this weekend and had to cancel his match with Funny Bone.
Oh, that would have been a
boy.
good match.
Yeah,
I know.
Get well Sledge.
Mhm.
Get well Sledge. John, how can people find you on Twitter?
You can find me. I'm not doing that because I won't get it right. Simple at Twisted Metal Fab on the Instagram and the Twitter. Also, I will do this. Hashtag Jason's Corner on
On
location.
location.
Oh, okay. I thought it was.
He wasn't
No,
scissoring.
yeah,
He was
we're gonna
mashing
get
it.
Okay.
But hashtag Jason's Corner on location. Catch me out at the indie shows, especially here in the Northeast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come say hi. Come
Yeah.
sit with me and cheer, and we enjoy some good wrestling and see some
Yeah,
new talent
you
on
are.
the way up.
Heck yeah.
You are
We're
all
always out
around
here.
Jersey, PA, and Delaware, man. You're everywhere.
Heck
Yep.
yeah.
It's
And you can-
everywhere. It's everywhere.
And you can find me at Tony Justice, AJFA. And if you're a Metallica fan, which I know you are,
I am.
I know Deb is, I know RA is, so
Yes.
you know what that means. Yeah. And you can find us on Twitter at Nation's Corner, and then everywhere else at The Nation's Corner. So
Yeah.
for all of us, we want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. Have fun watching Ring of Honor, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah.